In this episode, we talk with a 5-time Race Across America participant and ultra cycling veteran Franz Preihs of Austria, who holds the lifelong RAAM number 351. Franz made his first appearance in the world's longest ultra cycling race many years ago in 2008, finishing in 4th place even though he had a bad crash in Colorado after just a third of the distance and had to keep pedaling with a broken collarbone. Franz is not only known for his ultra cycling achievements and his extraordinary lifestyle with vegan nutrition and tattoos all over his body. He is also a personal trainer and an adventurer. He is currently preparing for his 6th participation in Race Across America and an expedition to Mount Denali in the Antarctic. My name is Christoph Strasser. I'm your host of today's ultra cycling show. Let's roll! Hey Ultra family, welcome to another episode of Roadside with Christoph, which is a special edition of the Ultra Cycling Show, where I talk with amazing athletes from all over the world, just as we would ride together and chat from our saddles. Today, in this special episode, I will talk with Franz Preihs, another rider from Austria. Hello Franz, it's nice to have you on the show.
Hello Christoph, hi Justin, thank you for the invitation. I feel really honored to be guest in your show, and I can't wait to talk to you guys.
Yeah, I hope you are well. Did you have a training already today? Are you exhausted maybe?
Yeah, I just finished training a couple of minutes ago, and so I'm basically settled here in my training room and exhausted. Yeah, it was just a normal day on the bike. Nothing special today.
What does it mean for you when you have a normal day on your bike?
It basically means 3 to 4 hours on the indoor trainer, because we had a lot of snowfall in the last couple of days, and so it's just the basics to do during winter. So I try to keep on a steady pace on the bike.
Yeah, it's the same with me. And I think half an hour ago, I was writing you a WhatsApp message on the mobile phone and asked if you're already ready for the record.
Yep.
And you said, I'm still sitting on the bike. And I did as well, because I finished my training also half an hour ago. So yeah, it's very good to see you. And I want to tell our viewers that you are a very achieved athlete. You did 5 Race Across America participations. You had great success, but you also had some years who were not so great. You're also a runner, a mountaineer, and an adventurer, but we will talk about that a bit later. At first, I want to begin with some very short questions as an intro. It's like a warm-up, and it should also be a bit of fun.
Awesome.
When did you start riding your bike? What was your first bike ride when you were a small guy maybe, and when did you start with the long distance?
I guess the first ride on a bike was when we were at the exhibition in Graz, Austria, where my father bought me a BMX bike. It should be around 1984. I was around 5 or 6 years of age. And I started with competitive bicycle racing in, let me see, I guess 2002. So nearly 20 years ago.
What was your first bike race?
The first bike race was the 24-hour challenge called Silberreiher Trophy in Austria. I started with a 24-hour race.
Very, very fun. Same with me, because my first bike race ever was a 24-hour race.
Yeah, I know.
In 2004. It's quite a good way to start a cycling career, obviously.
Absolutely.
Do you know the number of how many bikes you own, or do not you know it like in my case?
Holy, I don't know, man. I guess it should be. Usually I ride around 4 to 5 different bikes a year, so it should be around 100.
But
120.
When I watched your background, there are another 100 bikes there. So maybe some of them are going back to the sponsor or sold after the season.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, most of them are going back to sponsors, And some of the really nice ones I keep, or I try to, yeah. It depends on the one which is hanging in the background is a really special one. It's a limited edition of 45 pieces. So I will keep this one.
Okay, cool. When you train, what is your training time per week? How many hours per week do you stay in the saddle or in the running shoes or whatever?
Well, it depends mostly on my schedule when it comes to working issues. I mean, at the moment during COVID, it's a little bit more than usually. So it's around 20 hours a week in total.
Okay, very interesting. It's about the same than I do at the moment. It will be more in spring and in summer, but at the moment it's about 20 hours with me for me.
Yeah, like I said, it's like COVID, and it's everything a little bit different than usually because I have much less work to do than usually.
Okay, and when you do a training, do you track the distance or do you track the training time? What is more important for you?
The training time, because when you are in the indoor trainer, like I do most of the time, or if you go backcountry skiing, I mean, it's only the training time which is valuable for me. I don't care too much about the distance.
And what about power and heart rate and all the measurings? How many numbers and data do you collect?
Basically, I just focus on heart rate and power. And it depends what my trainer is giving me all the necessary information. So I have to look at during my training sessions. And when I'm on the bicycle, I try to focus on power, like watt. And when I'm mountaineering or going cross-country skiing, backcountry skiing, I focus on heart rate mostly.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense. What do you prefer more, slow endurance rides for many hours or the shorter high-intensity intervals?
Well, that changed a lot, and it still changes every day. It depends on I don't know. It depends on the daily basis. There are days I really love to suffer and to make short, quick, and really hard stuff. And there are days I enjoy long, steady riding. It depends. It's just like, I don't know. It changes and it switches quickly.
Yeah, very interesting. In my case, it's different because I never like high intensity training, but it's very important and it has to be done very often. So there is no other way to improve yourself. But I would enjoy much more the long distance rides.
I mean, it's the same with running. There are days I hate it, and there are days I love it. And it depends. I don't know. I haven't figured out yet which days are for which days are better for which training.
Yeah. And when you train indoor in the winter, what indoor trainer do you have? Do you have, like me, a very old school, simple roller trainer, or do you have a smart trainer and all the high-tech stuff?
Well, I have 3 different destinations I live. So I have basically 3 different setups and equipments. And here in Graz, I have a really fancy new indoor trainer with all the necessary stuff. And when I'm in the upper part of Styria, where I own a little house in the mountains, I have a really simple old school trainer.
A house in the mountain really sounds great, especially in Austrian mountains. They're really
Yeah,
beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like escape from reality, especially on weekends. I spend a lot of time there.
What is your FTP threshold power, the maximum power output you can perform over 1 hour? And the other part of the question is if you're doing regularly basis checks on your fitness.
Yeah, I can tell you I made a little bit of homework. My actual FTP is 294 watts, but it's not 60 minutes, it's 20 minutes FTP test. I do checkups on a regular basis every 8 to 12 weeks. In Upper Austria in Linz, I do like a performance test on the bike.
Did you notice like your FTP was changing over the years, or is it quite the same all the time?
The fun thing is it's improving. It's improving because I changed a lot in the last 2 years. especially on my nutrition behavior and on the supplement side. And I did a lot of mental work and tried to stay calm and positive and don't focus too much on pulling too much pressure on myself. And so it's improving a little bit. It's steady going upwards.
Yeah, that's great, and it shows that it's not a problem when you get older. I mean, you are not old, but of course you're not 25 or 30 years anymore. But it shows that your performance is not necessarily decreasing just when your age increases.
No, it's not decreasing. The one thing I have to focus on is regeneration. I feel that my body needs a little bit more quiet time and off time than it was 10 years ago. But on the other hand, like I said, I improved my supplements together we have, I guess we have the same team in the background with Markus Stark. So yeah, it helped me a lot.
Yeah, and talking about supplements and nutrition, what is your favorite snack when you are on the ride?
Oh, that's really simple. I still love the sugar gels, you know, the old school stuff. Just like putting a gel into my mouth and swallow it down with some drink. Really nothing special. It's really old school.
Okay, and what is your favorite drink when you're on the road?
Basically, I love all kind of really fancy tasting electrolytes. You know, like bubblegum stuff, electrolytes, and all the American style sports nutrition. I love that.
Yeah, because there is not so much of these fancy things in Austria, but when you're in Race Across America or training in USA, and you go to a small shop like a gas station, there is everything full of green and blue and red and yellow bottles with sugar drinks.
Yeah,
crazy.
I love that kind of stuff. I really love, but when it comes to professional training and stuff, I try to focus really on what is my intake. But when it comes just to what I really like is Mountain Dew stuff and stuff like that.
Okay,
it's just like the goodies on the bike.
Yeah, and the last question on sprint round. What is your favorite event, your favorite bike race or running race or whatever?
Well, I mean, RAAM is really special and one of its kind. That's no question about it. And I love the race. It's also the most challenging race. On the other hand, when it comes to running, there are a lot of really awesome races all over the world. And I especially like the Lake Tahoe 200-mile race. And there are also epic races in Europe. Too many to mention, actually. But Race Across America is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think it is for the most of us, it is a favorite race because it's really special. It has a great landscape. People with great attitude are meeting there and riding. So it's, yeah, of course, one of the most special thing. What does ultra cycling and ultra racing mean to you? I mean, is it a part of your lifestyle? Is it just a hobby for you? Is it more than a hobby? Is it like something you have really a big passion for?
That's a really good question. Are we still in the sprint round?
No, that's the first question of the. We go more into the detail now.
I mean, ultra cycling is. Well, when I was a kid, I discovered the race across America during Wolfgang Fasching, who was very popular at this time. And I don't know, since then, it's like a fire burning inside me. I just wanted to test myself on endurance and strength. And I like the loneliness on the bike and the isolation. So it's a way of life, I guess. I feel myself incomplete when I'm not training or exercising. It's a part of my life since I'm a young man. So it's something it really has to be in my life to feel complete.
Yeah, I can understand you very well, especially on what the meaning of such racing and the lifestyle is. What I experienced, that things can change over the time, when you have big sponsors maybe, or more sponsors, or for some riders, like Race Across America or other events, it's just a hobby and they do not have sponsors. And when you do not have sponsors, everything is it's of course more complicated to get the budget you need and the money you need to make it to the starting line and to the race. But there is no pressure. And if you have sponsors, there is a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure. You have like to be successful, otherwise you will have a problem. So I know that you had years with good sponsors. You had also years with sponsors when you did not have a lot of sponsors. So what is easier for you? Is it more comfortable to have huge sponsors, or is it more easygoing when you're doing it just for yourself?
That's different to answer, because when you put a lot of time into attracting sponsors and finding sponsorship contracts and finding companies or people who are willing to give you some money for racing your bike, you have to cut down time of training or time with your family or time for business. So it's hard to compare. I guess at the moment I have really good sponsors. They give me a great fundament for racing, but I have not like thousands of euro, and they don't give me like they don't pay all this stuff for a race across America, but I have really, really good material and clothes and some money too. And that's a good compromise, because I don't have to put too much time into finding some sponsors and attracting sponsors. I always try to balance it, because there is family time, there is time to look up for my companies I run. So sometimes there are years it goes like, there is some kind of momentum and it goes by itself. The right people, and you're talking with the right people, and it all goes together really well. And on the other hand, there have been years where it's really hard to attract sponsors and to find people who are able and willing to give you something. So I just try to relax. So I don't do too much running around seeking attraction or money.
Yeah,
when it goes.
I think at the moment it's especially difficult to find a sponsor, because a lot of companies are having big troubles because of the lockdown, and they're losing, their employees and their jobs, and it's it's nearly impossible to find a sponsor at the moment. And I think
there is a fun story.
Yeah, please share.
There is a fun story, a really fun one, because our viewers don't know it probably, but 2 days ago, I've been talking with you on the telephone, and we were talking about a race around Niederösterreich.
Yeah.
So we were talking, Christoph and me were talking about a race around Niederösterreich, and I was accidentally putting myself on the starting list today. And the first company I called and told them, I need a car and I need some money, and they are paying for everything. And I was really confused because it was really the first company I was calling today. And they said, okay, we are going to pay for everything. So I'm a lucky guy, at least today.
Yeah, you had a great day today. Very cool.
Yeah.
And just another story, because you said that we've been on the phone 2 days ago. It's true, and it's very hard to get you on the phone or to get me on the phone, because when I get up in the morning and I try to call you, you are already sitting on the bike for like 4 hours. And then in the evening, when I've done my training and everything, and I want to call you, you're already going to bed.
Yes.
When I finish my espresso in the afternoon, which is about 8 o'clock in the evening. You're already going to.
Oh, I'm drinking my hot chocolate. I'm going straight into bed. Yeah,
and
I'm
I
like
start.
a chicken, you know.
Yeah, and I start cooking at about 10 p.m. and then have my lunch in the evening and then go to bed and in 2 in the morning. So we have a different rhythm, like different time zones.
Absolutely, yeah. We live in different time zones. I mean, we are basically 5K away from each other.
Yeah.
So I'm like a chicken. In winter, especially when it gets dark, I go to bed.
And because we have just been talking about sponsors, I'm now switching to the photo gallery we did put on the internet from you, and we can see here that I put different categories: road racing, of course, picture from the Race Across America start, another picture from a great night ride, and also from your mountain bike races, just to show some pics of your sponsors, and also of your running adventures. And then a little bit later, we will talk about Race Across America 2013, which was very special because we have been
that was fun. Austrian Championships.
7 riders from Austria. It was so crazy. Yeah. What about coming back to finances and sponsors? What about making a living from cycling? Has this been a dream for you, or is this possible for you? Because there are some racers, including myself, doing keynotes and lectures and presentations for companies and talking about motivation and the power of a team and learning from failure and all that stuff. Other ones are writing books or making movies. So there are different ways of making a living from ultra cycling, because there is no prize money in all the races. So you have to find a way to make some money for it, just to be able to live from cycling. What is that on your side?
Well, I mean, there have been a lot of different things going on in my life, and I actually made my living the last 20 years running a pharmaceutical company, which I never planned. It was just pure luck or just fortune. But I never really thought about making a living from cycling because, to be honest, I never was like a winner. I am still a really good, I can say a really good endurance athlete and a good cyclist, extreme endurance cyclist, but I've never been able to win races. And on the other hand, I was always thinking about guys like you or Wolfgang Fasching and the small country we live in, actually. And so I never really tried hard to make a living from cycling. I was lucky enough to find a good work sports balance. So I had never it was the right decision, I guess.
Okay.
To do it this way.
Yeah, and
because I was lucky enough to find a job which allowed me to put a lot of hours into training. And on the other hand, I made enough money for a steady living.
Yeah,
it was just pure luck.
Yeah, it's quite complicated because I also know a lot of other riders. They are training so many hours every day, so they do not have enough time to get their job done. So there is always the problem. It is very expensive to do big ultra cycling races. And on the other hand, there is no time to do your job because you need all the time for the training. So I think we have to consider ourselves very lucky to be able to get enough time for training and still
absolutely
have enough
like
time
I said,
for the job.
It was never planned where I ended up to do my living, and it's just it was luck, unfortunately.
Yeah, and now talking about Race Across America, I think is the most fascinating race in ultra cycling. You have been there 5 times, and I remember I was just preparing myself for my first attempt, which was in 2009, and I've watched the race on the internet and on the tracking and everywhere. And you had your first participation in 2008, and it was very successful, but it was also very painful. But you made it to the finish line, even if you had a crash quite early in the race. So, what was the story of your first RAAM?
Well, I told you, I was attending a lecture from Wolfgang Fasching back in 2002, and it was the first time I heard about Race Across America. So I told to myself, when I'm 30 years of age, it will be a good time to do this race. And 2008, it was my big year. I was 30 years of age, and I qualified for RAAM in 2007 at the Furnace Creek 508 in California. And I put a lot of time, money, energy, blood, tears, and everything into the race preparation and finding a team and finding sponsorship. And back in 2008, it was, I guess, a little bit more complicated than it is nowadays to find proper information about the race nutrition, about the training strategy, sleep strategy, race strategy. So I put really everything into the pot, and it was like a one-way mission for me mentally. I knew that it's probably the one and only time I'm able to afford such a huge race. And well, I was really good prepared, and the race started really good, and everything went pretty well. After we reached Taos, New Mexico, approximately 1,000 miles into the race, I crashed. I had some kind of sleep deprivation, indicated second sleep. I just took a short nap on the bike, and I hit a construction road sign and broke my collarbone. And long story cut short, we rushed to the hospital, did some x-rays. Yeah, the collarbone was broken. I was discussing the accident with my doctor, and we were just arguing and trying to find answers to the question, is it possible to ride on? And he told me that there should be no circumstances or no big difficulties if I can manage and handle the pain. The broken collarbone should not affect my performance on the bike, because I still can use my legs in a proper way, and I still can breathe, and I still can, there was no big problem except the pain. And the funny thing is that the pain kept me focused. The pain kept me in a constant state of alert during the whole 2,000 miles in front of me. I was never sleepy on the bike. I never fell asleep again. I was always like constantly monitoring my body and constantly trying to focus on the pain and to deal with the pain. So my brain was completely working in a high alert mode. And that kept me like going, because there was no room for pity myself or for arguing around unnecessary stuff. I don't know, I have the legs are itching, or it's the electrolyte drink is getting too warm. You don't care about this when you're in constant pain. You just focus on the pain. So that kept me going, and I finished in 4th place. And it was.
Yeah, for me, it seems nearly. I can't really believe it, to make such a long distance with a broken collarbone, and there are some things which I was just thinking of. Can you also, or is it the same for you, that falling asleep on the bike, or that it's dangerous to fall asleep on the bike. It is that problem is very hard to manage in the second, in the third night, but it gets a bit better towards the end of the race. Of course, the final 1 or 2 nights, they are like very tough again, but for me, always the first and the second night are really one of the hardest ones, because the body is not used to not sleeping at all. So it's in the second, third, and fourth night you begin to find your rhythm.
Back in the days, I still didn't know too much about extreme endurance cycling, so it was just during the last couple of years where I found a good strategy to keep myself away from falling asleep on a bike, like moving your legs and changing the cadence and staying up in the saddle and undress a little bit so that the air gets colder and you start to freeze a little bit, just to keep you focused and awake.
And I had a similar experience in 2015 when I did not make it to the finish line in RAAM because of lung issues. But
yeah, we had bad weather in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in RAAM 15. But I can just share your experience when you notice that you have a big problem in your body, or in your case it was a broken collarbone. In my case it was lung issues. You're super alert all the time. I've never been tired as long as I had my lung issues. Of course, in the end I couldn't make it to the finish line, but the problem of getting tired, of getting sleep deprived, of losing your focus, it completely disappeared when you have a big problem in your body. You're in the alert mode all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about a big problem is that you don't care about the small problems anymore, because otherwise you're just whining around about small problems at RAAM. And when you have a big one, you don't focus on the small things, the small issues. You don't care about them.
That's true. My crew always makes fun of me because my arm warmers are different, the left and the right one. And after a sleep break, they put the arm warmers onto my arms, and they are left and right are on the false side. And I always argue with them. It's a big problem for me because I do not have any other problems. That's the good thing. And when you do not have big problems, you're arguing with your crew about the arm warmers on the false side.
Oh yeah, I know that. And if you like to shave your hair during the race with an electric shaver,
by the way, what happened to your hair? Because
it's still growing.
On the last time I saw you, your head was shaven completely, and now you and me both have very strange hairstyles. Yes,
I don't know actually what happens to my hair. Every time I look into the mirror, it looks a little bit different, and it has its own personality, and I don't care about it really. But I don't know. My hair is a special kind of interest.
Okay, so there is no message.
No, there is no message. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, because
I just don't care to do anything with my hair. My wife takes care on it.
Okay, because in my case it was
not very well, obviously.
When the Corona pandemic began in last spring, I thought, okay, there is no public things. I do not have to go anywhere and look good. So I just let my hair grow, and when the Corona thing is over, I will cut it again. But maybe it will grow for many more months. We will see.
Yeah, you will have hair like this when we finish the Corona stuff.
Okay, so you had a very great 2008 Race Across America race, and 1 year later, I don't know if you had higher expectations to yourself because you had a good first race, and then of course maybe you expect an improvement at the next participation. And in 2009, it was also my first race. Both of us didn't make it to the finish line, and it was not a good year for both of us.
Well, 2009, to be honest, I I guess the main problem was that I focused too much on the side effects of RAAM. Like I had a film crew, I had 2 motorhomes, I had 16 people with me, compared to 2008 where I had 10 people. So there were 6 more people and a complete media crew. I just focused too much on stuff besides cycling in the preparation. So I was good prepared, but to be honest, I wasn't that well prepared, and I wasn't focused on the right things to finish the race and to perform a good race on the bike. I was worrying way too much about the film crew and the right setup, and we had like daily movies like you have nowadays. In 2009, we still tried to do it like this. We had a daily movie diary, starting with my preparation time around Las Vegas. So there was so many ways, so many time, and so many stuff to do besides cycling and besides training, besides relaxing. I was constantly trying to do making video shots, and I can remember one day in the outskirts of Las Vegas in Red Rock Canyon, where it's really warm and hot. We were shooting for 6 hours straight to find the right perspective and the right angle. And I was constantly on a bike, and the film crew was filming me the whole day for a 10-minute trailer.
Yeah, this is very hard to manage, because when you have sponsors, sponsors expect you to do all that stuff, and then there is much more work to do than when you just keep easy going and just focus yourself on training and racing. And this is the very complicated thing when you have sponsors, to manage all of that and not to lose your focus.
Most of the people don't know what happens really backstage when they see like your media stuff and the videos you do. Most of the people don't realize how much work you have to put into this, that it has a proper outcome in the end. It's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, that's true. But then a few years later, in 2013, we had that great Austrian race across America. We had 7 guys on the starting line. The first one is Eduard Fuchs here in this picture. He's still active, he's still racing, he's still very strong. Gerhard Gulewitz stopped racing a few years ago after, I think, 11 participations in RAAM. This guy with the black pulley, I don't know, I'm not sure. The one in the middle is still active, of course. And yeah, David, he has 3 kids already. David Misch.
3? Okay, yeah, Misch. Yeah.
Writing books about ultra cycling, really good ones. And he's not riding anymore, just to fun. And I think Gary Bauer is a coach meanwhile, and switched to running. And Franz Wintersberger, the last thing I was hearing from him was that he did a triathlon, but he stopped the massive ultra cycling.
Okay, I saw him on the road at the race around Austria a couple of years ago. He was just cheering at us.
Yeah, and here is a picture with us and not the complete crews, but a lot of crew members. So
it's a nice picture.
Just for you to understand, there are about 80 or 90 people from Austria just in this race, having 7 racers.
That was really a fun year, really. And 2013 was a great year.
About 10 or 11 crew members from each rider. Yeah, a lot of flight tickets and a lot of people from Austria to USA.
And you missed all the fun parts because you were way down in the front. I guess, you won in 2013, obviously.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was that year with the crazy result of. I was the first man ever to do it under 8 days. I was winning the race in 7 days, 22 hours. But 6 of us, 7 Austrians, have made it to the finish line.
Yeah, and you had not the chance to like. I still remember meeting all the guys on the road, because they were constantly. We were all more or less together because we all finished under the top 10. Did we? Yes, we did.
Yes, that's true. That's you
And the,
before
and the fun,
start.
yeah, and the fun thing is that we except you, because you were like, I must lead the race and win it and da da da.
Sorry.
But the rest of us guys, it was really cool because in the middle of the night you stopped by the gas station and there were people from Austria. There were constantly people and crews from other Austrian races around you. So it felt like a race in Austria actually, besides the American road signs.
And yeah, please tell us. You made the 10th place in the end. There also was a very special story between 8th and 9th place in the end, because it was Eduard Fuchs and Gary Bauer, and there was just 1 minute between them. It was
Really?
Yeah, they
I
had
didn't
a
know that.
head-to-head sprint finish. They crossed the finish line at the same moment, and they had
Really?
a different start time. And the 1 minute from the start time was deciding the race. So it was really, really crazy. And you have been on place 10, because there was no one exactly before you or right behind you. You had a very relaxed finish. How? What did you do before the finish line?
Yeah, it was really funny because the 10th place was secured. There was no one behind me or I had to worry about. And I guess it's time station 41 or whatever. It is in the outskirts of Baltimore, and I was in the middle of the night, and my crew already made the call to the race director that we are approaching finish line in a couple of minutes. And I saw a McDonald's sign and I instantly went crazy about French fries. So I told my crew, listen, we need to stop. I need to go to McDonald's. I need a Diet Coke and I need French fries. And meanwhile, the people at the finish line were, waking up from their sleep, moving towards the stage and trying to arrange the car who is picking me up at the traditional finish line at RAAM's Roadhouse. And I was sitting in the McDonald's of Baltimore, enjoying my French fries and having a Coke. And so it took me approximately 1 hour more to reach the finish line. But yeah, it was just like, at the end of RAAM, you go a little bit crazy or not sometimes.
I know.
And
I know.
I don't know why, but I still had to figure out how this McDonald's looks inside.
Yeah, in my case, it's a bit different because my crew doesn't allow me such stupid things like sitting into a restaurant. But in the end of the race, I would like to do it, especially when there is no other racer right
Yeah.
behind you or chasing you or something. So
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to stay focused on the last 300, 400 kilometers when there is no one to battle with, because you can smell the finish line, you can smell the ocean, and it's tough when you don't battle against anybody.
And what about your finish time? You told me that there is something special about your finish times from 2008 and 2013.
Yep, it took me 10 days, 8 hours and 40 minutes in 2008, and it took me 10 days, 8 hours and 17 minutes in 2013. So we just don't expect it. I find it really funny because you are crossing the continent of North America in the exact same time, and it's strange because I was not. It was not planned. It was just pure.
Yeah, of course, and there are two different stories. One story with the crash and the collarbone, and the other story with a good race and then a restaurant in the end. So it's
I mean,
really
actually,
strange.
2013 wasn't actually a good race. I mean, it was. I had a perfect crew, and I wouldn't have made it to the finish line without this crew for sure. But I had tremendous problems with my butt. It got infected, and it was like it was really, it was more painful than it was with the broken collarbone. And there is the Cumberland time station in Kansas. There was a part of the race where I had to ride one complete day just in the boxer shorts. I wasn't able to wear bicycle bibs or bicycle pants. So it was really, really tremendous pain and agony in 2013.
Yeah, crazy.
It just wasn't visible to the outside because it was just on my butt, but it was absolutely crazy and insane. And I still recall the doctor from Franz Preihs who took care of me after the finish line because I was going nuts from pain. And they drove me to the hospital in Annapolis, and there were it was like in the movies, you know, there were 20 people waiting in front of me, and I always collapsed because of the pain. And he was the one who literally saved me from going crazy because he had the right pain medication to help me find a little bit of peace and sleep after the race.
What I experienced was that the 1 or 2 days after the race, they can be really painful because as long as you're moving, as long as you're in the race mode, as long as you're focused, the pain doesn't really come up. So you don't feel all that stuff that's not right, that's not feeling good. But when the race is over, when you're like in the standby mode, when you fall asleep, when you are recovering, all the pain comes out, and it's not fun. The fun begins 2, 3, or 4 days after the race when when you have slept a little bit, when you have enough energy to celebrate and to enjoy.
But the strange thing is that every athlete has its own problems to deal with, because I saw you in, I guess, 2018 when you came to the finish line, and I can recall that you always have a little bit of issues with your fingers.
Yeah, that's my weak part. Yeah, numb fingers.
So I never had numb fingers or stuff like that, really. And I can recall Gary Bauer in 2013. He had a lot of problems with his toes and with his feet. I never had problems with my toes or feet. So I just have it on my backside, on my butt.
Yeah, it's a funny story from my numb fingers. Is of course it's not funny when you have problems with doing the bike handling and all that stuff. But when I wanted to grab my drinking bottle, and I was like reaching for the bottle on the frame, and then I just grabbed the bottle and wanted to take it out of the bottle holder, of the bottle cage, but it didn't move, and I was not able to get the bottle out of the cage. And then one of my crew asked me, what are you doing? Why are you constantly trying to
remove the cage?
No, I was grabbing the frame from the bike because there was no bottle in the cage. The cage was empty, and I was just grabbing the frame of the bike. But because my fingers were numb, I didn't feel the difference that there is no bottle anywhere. Really? Yeah. So numb fingers are a big thing. But
it's better now with ETAP.
Yes, ETAP and DI2. DI2 is of course a bit better, but I found out the problem was the aero bar. So the pressure where you have your forearms on the aero bar, because if it's on the wrong place, it will affect your nerves in your forearms.
Yeah, that's why I always have big bandages from the start.
And then you had 2 more participations in RAAM, which were not so great. What was happening there?
Let me recall. 2015 was. I don't. 2015 was really strange. I don't know. I felt really good on the bike, and it was like constant. It was a constant race, and I suddenly started to lose power, and I ended up somewhere in Kansas without anything left in my tanks. It was really strange, and my doctor couldn't explain it to me. It was just like I lost everything on my mental and physical power. I just run out of energy.
Yeah,
I don't know why, really. I had a little bit of a heat stroke on the second day, but from my perspective, I recovered pretty well. I didn't feel weak in the Rocky Mountains. I felt good on Wolf Creek Pass. And also during when I was going through Colorado and early parts of Kansas, I felt good. But it just took around 10 to 12 hours to completely empty myself. And I don't know what happened actually. And 2018 was a complete disaster, and everything.
Let me just sorry for the interruption. Let me just show you a picture, because this is a really nice shot. That's showing the two of us in RAAM 2015 on time station 1.
Time station 1 or 2.
Yeah, I was a bit faster than you, but it really shows the camaraderie and the friendship. And
yeah, that's a really great picture.
Yeah, and you wish the best to every other participant, and especially to your fellows from Austria and your friends. And yeah, I like that picture very much.
There have been so much great memories from all the race across Americas. I can recall the crew of Marco Polo helping me out with a flat tire on time station 1, because I always have a flat tire between the starting line and time station 2 every year. I don't know why. And I recall Susanna from Great Britain, the girl, Pillinger. She was riding in 2000. Can you recall her?
I can remember her name, Susanna Pfillinger.
Yeah.
But I do not know her in person. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that was a great story, because I lost one of mine. I tried to change clothes while riding my bicycle somewhere around Springfield, Colorado. Is it Springfield? Yeah. And it was in the middle of the night, and I tried to change my clothes on the bike, which is not very clever and smart, but anyway, I did it, and lost one of my jerseys. And her crew was calling my crew 2 hours later, because they saw my jersey on the roadside, and they picked it up, and they returned it to me a couple of hours ago later. So it's just one of the great examples of camaraderie in Race Across America. And so you actually, it's a race man against man, and you battle each other on a bike, but in the end, when it comes to problems, you all stuck together and help each other out.
Yeah, that's true. I also love that spirit of racing, ultra racing, especially. But sorry, I was interrupting you. You just wanted to finish your 2018 story.
Oh, it was just catastrophic. We had first time ever we experienced massive crew problems. So it was just a mess from the human aspect of crew. I was very disappointed by some people who crewed for me, to cut it short.
When you look back, yeah, you had great success. You had some years which are not so good. What is more important in the end? Because in my case, for example, having success is of course a great thing, but I always learned more when I did not have success, when I had a DNF or just a bad result. Some people only see when you are successful, when you have the first place medal or anything, but inside in me, I think the bad days or the bad races are much more important in the end. You can grow and learn much more.
I mean, I guess, to be honest, it's both is important. If you're always on the loser side, you will stuck somewhere in depression and throw it all away sooner or later. If you're always just winning, you get used to it. You get used to winning, so it's nothing special anymore, probably. So I guess, like in life, it's like a roller coaster ride. You have great times and bad times, and you have. I mean, for me, it's important that I personally have the ability to deal with both, with bad times and good times, and that's probably also that's one of my great, probably one of my gifts, that I can learn from bad experiences and also enjoy the good ones.
What do you think? Why are so many racers in our sport coming from Central Europe? Because the last winner from America was 2003 Alan Larson, and from 2004 until today, only people and athletes from Slovenia, from Switzerland, from Austria, and from Germany have been winning RAAM.
I can tell you. I mean, it's simple. It's Robic, it's Strasser, it's Fasching, and period. I mean, we live in a relative small area of the world. Each and everybody knows each other, and the scene is small, and so everyone who is doing race across America is a well-known athlete, especially when you're successful and winning the race or finishing the race a couple of times. So America is way too big, and no one actually really knows about the race if he's not an experienced ultra cyclist by himself, because there are a lot of bicycle stores I ran in, like in Las Vegas. They have never heard about a race across America, and that's strange because in Austria everyone knows the race.
Yeah, it's really very popular here in. And
yeah, I met people in Carlsbad and Annapolis who have never heard about the race. And it's starting in the front yard or ending in their backyard, and they don't know what it is.
Yeah, and especially you have also mentioned Jure Robic. I have one picture here from you and him, because I think the both of you were good friends, and he was an inspiration for you and for me as well, because
Yes.
he was showing me that it's possible to be a nice guy on the one side and a racing machine on the other side, because when he was on his bike, he was just going at full speed and straight on, and it was fascinating for me to see both sides in one human being, which is such a good friend on the other side.
Yeah, it was fun. It was, this picture particularly was at Crocodile Trophy, where we shared a tent together in 2009. That was great memories. He was an awesome guy, really. He had a great personality. He was like
something. Talking about Crocodile Trophy, let's just some pictures from you on the bike, because you're also doing some bike marathons and challenges on the bike, events on the bike. There is one special question I've thought about, because you did Everesting, the famous Everesting, which all the people are talking about at the moment. Everesting is very popular, doing 8,800 meters of climbing in one session. You did it on the road bike, you did it on the mountain bike, you did it on Swift, on the indoor trainer, and you also did it with your running shoes. And when you compare these experiences, what was tougher, what was nicer?
Well, the easiest way to do Everesting is in the running shoes, because you don't have to worry too much about going downhill. The most complicated way was to going on the road bike, because I was doing Everesting on a public road, open road with traffic. So especially in the afternoon hours, there was a lot of people who were just going up the mountain to enjoy some mountain scenery. And you have to be focused on the road bike, because you get pretty speedy downhill. So for me, the easiest way to do it, if you like to do it on your running shoes. On Swift, it's funny. I mean,
A bit
Everesting is
boring,
like,
maybe.
no, what I figured out on Swift is that the scenery changes. So when you go up to Everest and there is a small bird flying on the horizon, and the next time you go to this completely same mountain up again on Mount Swift, there are no birds. So I
Very
mean,
interesting.
the algorithm on the the algorithm on the virtual world of Swift changes during the day. That's what I figured out.
Yeah,
So
and
there's always something happening.
I was trying Swift myself, and I did it for a few sessions, just short sessions. And for me, it was the most boring training of my whole life because, yeah, you just see a few riders, you can chat with them, but you can also, without Swift, you can chat with anybody, you can call anybody. So I don't need Swift for chatting.
The fun thing,
So
the
I
fun thing
enjoy much more listening to music, watching TV or something. So
the fun
I
thing
think
is
that
when
Swift Everesting is not really exciting.
no, I don't know. For me, Swift is really crazy cool. And I don't feel the urge to listen to music or watch TV when I'm on Swift. I completely jump myself into this virtual world. I always have no need to chat with other riders on Swift. I just do my thing and I listen to the birds. And the strange thing is, when it gets raining on Swift, I feel immediately a discomfort because I'm worrying about a dirty bike and wet clothes, and it's just all in my head. So I completely switch myself into this computer mode, and it's strange a little bit, I admit, but I like it really. And Everest, yeah, it's a trend, and everyone does it, and I just it's like, especially in years like this with COVID, it was a fun thing to do, to prove myself, to be able to do this kind of climbing on different training equipment styles.
And as we talked about running now, what about your mountaineering? Because one of your big goals for this year is climbing the Mount Denali in the Antarctic.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for that, and how much time of your training do you spend in the mountains?
I spent time in the mountains since I'm a kid, and so especially in the winter time, I do a lot of ski mountaineering, but it's not like an excessive training because most of the endurance training you can still do on the bike. It's 1 or 2 times per week. I do excessive climbing and excessive mountaineering, like really long tours. But the fun story is that a good friend of mine who finished RAAM in 2018, Frank Fumick from Virginia, he was talking me into Mount Denali actually, and he had an unsuccessful attempt in 2020 because of bad weather, or 2019, I'm not sure yet. So he asked me if I'd like to join his crew, and yeah, in 21 we have scheduled the Denali for June. We are heading from Anchorage to Denali Glacier in June 21, but it's still it's still hanging in the air because of COVID. We don't know if we can go, to be honest, because we are a multinational team, a 6-person team from the Netherlands, from US, from Canada. So I have no clue if we can do it. It depends on the pandemic situation.
Of course, yeah, but just the training for mountaineering. You just said before that doing the Everesting thing in running shoes, going downhill, as much as going uphill, of course, is the easiest way to do it. If I just imagine that.
No, you don't have to.
I cannot walk the stairs after a mountain tour for 3 days because my legs are completely destroyed because of the downhill.
Yeah.
Walking uphill is no problem, but walking downhill is like destroying everything.
When you do Everesting, you don't have to walk downhill. You can have a different kind of, you can use a cable car, you can use a car, you can use a bike, whatever you like to use, you can go downhill. You don't have to run necessarily.
Okay.
So you just have to do the 9,000 vertical meters uphill.
Okay, so that makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, if I do because you don't have to worry about going downhill like on a bike. So you cannot crash, actually. And I used the cable car. It was pretty comfortable because it took me 7 minutes downhill, and I was able to drink and to feed myself on the cable car. So it was really comfortable. But when I do like extreme endurance running events where you do a lot of climbing uphill, but also a lot of climbing downhill and descending, I prepare myself and my body for about a month or a month and a half. So there is no cycling and just running, a lot of running. I increase my weekly kilometers up to 300 when I prepare for ultra endurance running event.
Okay, yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, and you have a memory effect on your body. So if I switch from cycling to running mode, it takes me about 6 weeks and my body's functioning again as a running body.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. There is one more big topic I want to talk to you. You're not only known as an athlete, but you're also known as a vegan athlete. So you have a very special lifestyle, and you're doing that for a lot of years. And I remember we have been meeting on a training ride. It was many years ago, at least 10 years ago or even more. And you told me that you have been vegetarian for a few years, but now you have changed back and ate all the products from animals, and you ate meat and everything. But then you changed back again. So what was the reason for this, and how is your life going on with all the training and your vegan lifestyle?
Well, I was never really a meat kid. I was never really into eating dairy products or meat. And I became socialized in so-called straight edge hardcore scene, where a lot of people and musicians were on a vegan diet. That was back in early 2000. So I was socialized in this kind of subcultural movement and became a vegan by myself, just for group reasons, I guess. And meanwhile, everything changed, and it's like an ethic thing, and it's just something really personal between me and animals. But back in those days, it was like I was socialized in this kind of subculture, and so I don't know, actually. Being vegan is nothing special to me anymore. I mean, I'm vegan since without the expectation of this one switch back in 2006 for the Tour Direct. It was vegan for 18 years, meanwhile, or 20 years.
Yeah,
and in 2006, I was preparing for the Tour Ultime. It was the Tour de France non-stop. It was a 4,000 kilometers with about 60,000 meters of climbing. And it was my
let me just help you out. The Tour Ultime was not really a big race. It was happening, I think, only for 3 years. After that, it disappeared again. So it was a great route following the Tour de France stages in a non-stop style.
I must tell you, it was one of the most curious races I've ever raced in my whole life.
Because it was a goal for me as well. I wanted to do it in the future, but after 3 years of racing, the race appeared, which is
I mean, first of all, okay, short story. The Tour Direct was the former race. It was called the Tour Direct, and Wolfgang Fasching was racing it together with Juri Robic or against Juri Robic.
And Marco Ballo.
Marco Ballo. Yes, and Marco. And the two guys from the Tour Direct, they were fighting about money issues. So they split up right after the race. And then there was one guy who was organizing Le Tour Direct and the other guy who was organizing Le Tour Ultime. Both were guys from Holland, so from the Netherlands. So actually, I was talking with Fury and said, which race are you doing, Le Tour Direct or Le Tour Ultime? And he told me, I don't know what's the difference. And I said, there is no difference, just another name. Okay, let's do Ultime. Okay, so we both registered for Le Tour Ultime, but we didn't actually know if one of these races is going to happen. At the end, we were registered for the right race because Le Tour Direct was not happening. The people who were registered for the race, they just didn't appear at the starting line. And we, in 2006, Jure, me, and Rainer Popp, Julian Sanz Garcia from Spain, and Thomas Ratschub. We were, I guess, it was just 5 people on the starting line, and there was Shanna Armstrong with Rob Kish in a 2-person team. And that was funny. And the guy who was organizing the race did it on Google Earth, which was back on the days just like a plain, simple card on the internet. So we basically rode every kind of road you can imagine, from dirt roads to dust roads to sand roads to mud roads to paved roads.
Oh my God!
It was hell of a race. But anyway, in the race preparation, the first time in my life, I worked together with a doctor and a dietitian. And the dietitian girl told me that she's not comfortable with the idea of a vegan doing such kind of races. So she told me, okay, I go with you, but I highly recommend and suggest that you start getting your protein from animal resources. And so in 2006, I switched back to a normal way of eating, or to a carnivore way of eating. And immediately after the race, I switched back becoming vegan because it had absolutely no effect on my capacity for when it comes to performance on the bike.
Yeah, this is very interesting because there are always skeptical people. I have to say, I did not really ever think about doing that because I'm eating everything, and I'm not vegetarian or vegan, but I just know that a lot of people are skeptic that it's maybe not possible to do ultra racing and hardcore endurance sports on a vegan basis. So it's very interesting just to see you that this is possible.
Yeah, I mean, meanwhile, you know that protein and all the stuff which is highly discussed is you can get it from both sources, from meat and veggies. So it just, I guess, vegan is some kind of mainstream lifestyle meanwhile. And for me, it's just something completely different. And it has nothing to do with my sports performance. So it's an ethic way to deal with other humans and other animals and other human beings and other animals. So it's really it has nothing to do with my sporting achievements. I mean, everything is possible.
But talking about your lifestyle, you're also well known for having a lot of tattoos all over your body, and I know that some of them are on really private spots, but you also have some other tattoos in which have a special meaning, especially for RAAM and that stuff. Maybe it's possible to show them to the camera if you want to. Not the private ones. No, the bike related ones.
I have RAAM there on my arm. The old logo, you can see it.
Yeah.
That's
the old logo
one
from I think 2009 and 10, because 2011 was the new logo.
No, this was 2008. I did it in Annapolis. There was a tattoo shop right after the finish line, and I made it 2 days after RAAM, actually. And this one is, I don't know if you can see it. This is the route. This is RAAM. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Wonderful.
I mean, yeah, tattooing is, I don't know, it's nothing special for me. I just like to be, I just like to have some kind of diary on my skin. When you have it tattooed like me, you don't see it on yourself anymore. So when I look myself, when I stand in the mirror in front of me naked, I don't recognize the tattoos, to be honest.
We've talked a lot about the mental and the physic thing in ultra cycling, ultra racing, and running and all that stuff. If you did not become a cyclist as you are now, what would have been your choice in life? Can you know it? What would have been your plan B?
I would be a star in adult movie business, probably. I don't know. I mean, life is a really fun thing to do, and there are plenty of great, interesting stuffs I would check out. And so I don't know, actually.
But would you do it the same again if you had the choice to enter the ultra racing and endurance racing stuff, or do you regret anything?
No, no regrets. I met during the last 20 years. I met incredible people all over the world, and I'm really lucky to have found really great friends. And whenever I'm traveling, there are hardly any places on the world or on the planet where there is not a couch or a sofa waiting for me, and where I can hang out and meet people I know during racing, and that's awesome, really.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the great things that many people do not see, because when you are watching the TV reports or reading books or watching the reports of races, a lot of people only tell about the pain and the drama and everything that's very tough, but there are much more positive things in our sport. And
Absolutely.
yeah, that's the reason why I do it, and I do it for so many years, because there are much more positive things than negative things.
And there are really, I mean, because you asked me about races I really enjoyed, and one race is coming into my mind because it was really special. It was Dex Tukey's No Country for Old Men in Texas. That's one of the greatest races I've ever done, because they are there. It's really a private family affair, because it's run by Dex Tukey and his wonderful wife, and it was awesome scenery, and the people were so kind, and it was just a hell of a ride, and it was fantastic. It's a great race. You should do it someday.
I can remember you told me that the race was great a few years ago, but you also told me that it's very hard to get there. There is no public transport anywhere, and it's really a bit.
Yeah,
it's not. There is no big city in the area.
No, it's in the middle of nowhere, actually, really. But it's fun, and it was the one of the most funny visits ever, because I had to attend a doctor prior to the race, because I had forgotten some medication for my allergy, and the doctor was treating people and animals, and there was a guy with a goat sitting next to me, and I was there for my own concerns, and he was there because his goat had a problem. It was funny.
Yeah,
it's true story.
I really like all that little funny stories from the races, which are not
yeah, me too.
Which are not shown in the public or in the reports.
Yeah, it's like backstage racing,
yeah.
And I also enjoy stories about this, and I mean it's really great. You meet a lot of wonderful people and great people, and I also found some contacts which I used in my work and professional part of life during RAAM, like Scott Ragsdale from Dubai, American guy. And so I'm connected with some of the guys I met in Race Across America for business perspective also.
Yeah, it's a great way to get a network also, because
absolutely,
you always need good people anywhere in the world. And what about your future plans? I mean, will you be on the start line of RAAM again, maybe one day? Do you know it, or do you think about it, or is this like a chapter which is closed?
No, it's not closed. I will be at the start line of RAAM, not RAAM. So this year at RAAM. And
Race around Niederösterreich.
yeah, I accidentally inscribed for a race around India, but then I switched back to Niederösterreich. But anyway, no, RAAM is not closed. I mean, it's depending on the economic situation, to be honest, because I find it, in my opinion, it will be not easy to attract sponsorship when the worldwide economy is going downhill. And it also depends. I mean, I like you told me before, I'm getting older, but I'm not old. So there should be there should be a couple of years ahead of me where I can still perform good on the bike. So there will be a year where I will return to RAAM, but I'm not quite sure if it's 22 or 23. It depends on COVID and on world economic, because I just have, I'm not like a self-made millionaire. I have to earn money, or at least attract sponsors to give me money. So whatever it takes, it will take it.
Yeah, for me, it's very much the same, because I'm not sure what about RAAM 2021, because it's getting closer. The time is flying, and nobody knows what will happen in the next few weeks. And traveling, getting your crew from Austria to USA will be difficult. So it's especially for us from Europe, it's very hard to make a plan, because if you want to do RAAM, you have to know it 6 months before, or maybe 8 months before. You have to check the flight tickets, rent the cars, and get everything organized. And it's much too late when you know in April that what is going on in June. And this is a big thing. So I'm thinking about Race Across America 2022. Maybe we meet there again, and
I hope so.
make it to the finish line together, without maybe a fast food restaurant in the last stage. I think we could keep on talking for hours. But we have to make it to the finish line of our interview somewhere. So I have 3 final questions for you. How would you rate yourself for bicycle maintenance when you have 1 is very bad and 10 is you're a perfect mechanic?
0. That's why I have a perfect mechanic.
0.
That's why I can afford a perfect mechanic.
I do not know anybody who has more than 8 or 9, but I self-rated myself with 1 or 2. And
I can change a flat tire. Yeah, that's what I can.
Yeah, but Justin, our host of the show, told me that he had an interview, and the guest said that he is -2. So this is
really
the record for bad bike maintenance.
I totally believe it, because I'm not made for maintaining my bike. Okay. I'm made for riding it.
Yeah, I think it's the same with a lot of riders, because if you're training and riding all the time, you don't have enough minutes and hours left to keep maintaining your bike. Because I always think, if I have enough time to clean my bike for 20 minutes, it would be much more intelligent to sit on the bike for 20 more minutes and do a bit more of training. It will help me get faster and get better.
Same here.
Okay. What is your training plan for tomorrow?
Tomorrow, 4 hours on the indoor trainer with uphill speed 5 times 8 minutes on really high interval cadence, and the other stuff would be just basic endurance training.
Okay, great. And one tricky question in the end. Who do you want to nominate for a future episode? Is there anybody you would like to see?
That's a hard question. Give me a second. I was not prepared for this kind of question.
Yeah, that's the sense of it, because preparing for it is not so funny anymore.
Actually, I would love to hear David Hasse. He's a funny guy. He has done RAAM several times. I'm not sure if he has been a guest to the show prior.
I think he was. I think Justin has done an episode with him, so you have another try.
Well, what's with Sarah Cooper? She's amazing.
I will ask Justin what we can do. And
hi, Sarah, you're amazing. Or Shona Hogan, I love her, and she's one of my greatest inspiration. She's an awesome woman, and she's like the goddess of ultra cycling, and I really adore her. That's
true. Same for me. And she's
very. I like it because she's really smart. I love it. She has a brain like a robot.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, and it was really fun for me. And I hope all our the people who watched the episode enjoyed us as well, enjoyed the chat as well. So yeah, big thank you for taking your time.
Thank you.
And
can't wait to see you guys in person again after all this COVID shit.
Yeah, I know I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of people. But at least one of the good things in all the situation now is that the virtual meetings and that stuff really, they have positive sides, because talking to each other is different, of course. But I had an online speech a few days ago, like an online seminar. I was talking about motivation and that stuff, and people from Utah were watching. So it was, otherwise the chance would never happen for people from all over the world to watch that things.
Otherwise, when I open my window, I'm not quite sure if I cannot see your house. Because we are not living far away from each other. That's also a funny thing.
Yeah, we're living in the same city. Yeah, I hope to see you soon. Keep on riding, keep strong.
Same to you.
Yeah, all the best for your goals that year, for your Mount Denali expedition. I hope it can take place, and we will see in Race Round Niederösterreich. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. Thank you, guys. See you later.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed the episode today with Franz. He's really such a great guy. I like him so much. He's very inspirational and also very funny. I hope you stay tuned. Until next episode, keep spinning ultra. Goodbye. See you.